That's it. Terence Crawford, he heard what Canelo had to say and he don't like it. Crawford finally responds to Canelo Alvarez says he's only beat one guy. I was born ready. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I am back with some more boxing. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. Believe that. If you believe in God, then believe in Boxingego. Believe that. One nation. Now, I made an unpack Canelo Alvarez payday. He gets at Terence Crawford. He says, you did a good job, basically. You guys got to watch that video. Watch the unpack. It's on the channel. He's basically saying, Crawford, he did an excellent job with Errol Spence. Errol Spence is one fighter, though. He's one guy. You got one guy on your resume now. But aside from Errol Spence, your resume really ain't all that. Terence Crawford obviously seen this and he heard, because this was a TMZ interview. Again, for more on what Canelo said specifically, you got to subscribe to the channel and check out my last video. We unpack, coming to you live. Terence Crawford seen this, he heard this, and he says, quote, he tweeted out, here we go with the I haven't fought nobody but Spence talk. LOL. Y'all so delusional, it's crazy. Now, the thing that I find the funniest and like, you know, a little bit peculiar is the fact that the day this interview came out with TMZ and Canelo, where Canelo said this, so your peer, a fellow fighter, right? And he specifically was asked about Terence Crawford, saying he'll move up to 168. The question was specifically answered with Crawford's career in mind, and Canelo Alvarez said what he said. Again, check that previous video for what he said in detail. And he said, you beat one guy on your resume. You know, that's not all the way impressive, basically. So I find it peculiar that Terence Crawford, he put out this tweet and it was almost like a generalization about this Spence talk, but literally specifically one fighter, your peer, an active fighter who you said you wanted to fight, he's the one that said it. And he says, y'all so delusional, it's crazy. And my question is, why is it y'all when Canelo Alvarez is the one who said it, this was clearly a response to what Canelo said, because you literally, the time frames and the timestamps, they match up perfectly. Canelo and TMZ dropped the interview. It surfaced on Twitter. A lot of people were placing the clip on the timeline on X, on Twitter, whatever Elon Musk is calling it. And then Terence Crawford responded with this, but he didn't use Canelo's handle. He didn't call out Canelo. He didn't say anything bad about Canelo, but he clearly is responding to Canelo. And then he switched it to y'all, but Canelo's the one that said this. This is a guy you want to fight. It seems like, where's that same energy for Canelo? When I said stuff on my channel that clearly Crawford or his team didn't like, he called me out by name. When Errol Spence said you ain't beat nobody, he responded directly to Errol Spence. But for some reason, when it comes to Crawford, when it's Bob Arum and he's throwing Crawford under the bus saying he can't sell and he needs to promote like Mayweather and I lost so much money with him, all these things, Crawford doesn't really respond with the same level of venom and vitriol to a guy like Bob Arum. And I'm just curious why that seems to be the case. Same thing with Canelo. Canelo, if you feel disrespected by what was said, this is the guy you said you want to fight. He specifically said it. And I feel like any other time Terence Crawford would call out the fighter by name. You know, if Gary Russell Jr. said it, if Errol Spence said it, if a YouTuber said it, you know, he might call the person out by name. But now that Canelo said it, he just turned it into a generalization. I find that a bit weird. If you don't like what Canelo said, it seems like you would respond to Canelo particularly because he's the one that recently said it. Albeit there are other people, including myself, who have questioned Terence Crawford's resume in its totality. This is not taking anything away from the Errol Spence win, but similar to what Canelo was saying, is that's one name. Like, this is one great fighter that you fought who had momentum. He had 3 belts. He was regarded and revered as a top guy in the division, and that's good. Build from that. And the only person that doesn't see it is Terence Crawford. But another thing is, why was he suing Bob Arum and saying there was racial discrimination and Top Rank didn't promote him like a star and didn't make him a star and basically stifled and held back his career? If you had this in the complaint, in the lawsuit complaint, that I don't even know if it's going on anymore because we haven't heard any updates. And Bob Arum said last I heard that he's over it. He says Crawford's side needed to refile and they didn't do it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not being sued. So the point I'm making is Terence Crawford, he sued Bob Arum for basically holding him back as a star, but then he won't admit that his resume is a bit light, is a bit lacking. He's making it sound like anybody who questions his resume is the fool. Oh, you guys, y'all are so delusional. You know, Canelo's delusional. Everybody who believes that his resume is just not the deepest resume of elite guys that people wanted to see you fight. Everybody else is the problem. And it's a bit weird. Again, this is not taking anything away from the Errol Spence fight. You did it there. You did the dang thing. I picked against you. Other people picked against you. That was a good fight on paper. And it wasn't really a good fight when it actually happened. I have my theories on what caused it to look like it did. And I've talked about that. But at the end of the day, salute to you. You put it all together on the given night and you defeated Errol Spence Jr. But again, this doesn't change your career for the last, like, you can't, I said this in my last video, you can't do mid things for 10 years and then you change up and switch up and do good for 1 year or half a year, because it's not even the full year yet. You know, we don't know what Crawford's next fight is. Well, I guess it's Errol Spence. He's pushing the button on the rematch clause. But you done good for a year. It doesn't erase some of the bad decisions from the past. It really doesn't. You know what I mean? It could be a new beginning or a new start. I'm good with that. But it doesn't change the John Molina fights and the Mean Machine fights and the Amir Khan at the point in which you fought him 2 fights removed from Canelo decimating him. That's why people, including Canelo, have questioned the resume. And again, Crawford wants to build up his resume like, you know, it's the most impressive thing, but it's not. Like, to be honest, Danny Garcia, to me, has a better resume. I'm just talking about not who he won or lost to, just who he fought. He fought Lucas Matisse when Lucas Matisse was the other baddest guy at 140 pounds. He fought a legend and Hall of Famer like Zab Judah. He fought Eric Morales when he was a champion, another Hall of Famer, right? He fought Keith Thurman. He fought Errol Spence. He was trying to get the Pacquiao fight, didn't get that, but neither did Terence Crawford, right? So all in all, Danny Garcia, he has a great resume. Mauricio Herrera, when Mauricio Herrera was really crafty and things of that sort. Lamont Peterson. I mean, he literally, Sean Porter, he fought everybody. And he fought him at times where it was very pertinent. Crawford, the way he was built, I mean, Shakur Stevenson, you can see he's kind of in the same position with Top Rank, is Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia just fought. So Ryan Garcia is possibly younger than Shakur Stevenson, and he just got a name like Gervonta Davis on his resume. Win, lose, or draw, he could say, I stepped in the ring, I did $1 million+ with Gervonta Davis, I challenged myself. But we haven't seen, you know, at this moment, Shakur in with a Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis or, you know, anyone of that caliber. Hopefully we get the Frank Martin fight. We'll see how that plays out. But back to Crawford. I mean, that's his response to Canelo Alvarez, but I don't think people are bullying or picking on Crawford with the resume. Ricky Burns just is not it. You know what I mean? Like, you have never heard me on my channel say Ricky Burns is that dude. Ray Beltran, his claim to fame is really being Manny Pacquiao's sparring partner. I might want to accept my promoter. You know what I mean? That's like the Top Rank diet, the Top Rank special. They build up certain guys like, you know, Richard Comey, and then we're supposed to believe that Richard Comey is this Night Stalker and this destroyer of worlds, but he's really not. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Crawford, he could build from the Errol Spence. I have no problem with that, but it doesn't change the whole career because of one fight. You dig? You know what I'm saying? That's like Tom Brady lose a playoff. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that he got more rings than any team has. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a great example. Tom Brady, if he got knocked out in the Super Bowl, like, you know what I'm saying, lost the Super Bowl or got kicked out the playoffs, that's cool. But it doesn't change his whole career. He's the greatest quarterback ever. And he got more rings than any team has as an individual. So you don't take one instance and then all of a sudden it overshadows a whole career. And that's the point I'm getting at. YouTube will show you some videos you may be interested. Check them on the channel. I'm the best in the business. Subscribe, and I'm out.